This video blog will be discussing the insolvent liquidation option of a compulsory liquidation. I'm joined by Richard Sims, who is one of the licensed insolvency practitioners at FA Sims and Partners, and he is going to help explain this liquidation process to you in more detail. Hi Richard.
Hello Martha, hello viewers.
So can you give us a brief overview of what a compulsory liquidation actually is?
Okay, so be as brief as possible. Liquidation, first of all, is the closure of a limited company. So the company must be registered company's house, it must be a limited company, could also be an LLP, a limited liability partnership, but basically that means the company's reached the end of its useful life. But the difference really here with the compulsory is that it generally is the creditors who have forced the directors and the shareholders company to close the company down, and the court is involved in that process. The main difference there is that compared to a voluntary liquidation, which in a very similar vein, a very similar cost process, it gives a different impression. If it's gone to compulsory, it shows the directors perhaps haven't taken steps to deal with the situation. If it's gone through voluntary, indicates the directors have taken their responsibilities more seriously and have dealt with the situation there. So compulsory, it's not the end of the world, it's not a complete disaster, but it just means that basically the directors have lost control of the company and haven't managed it in those last sort of 3-6 months and have been forced into liquidation by a creditor.
Okay, and is there an option for possibly company directors entering into a compulsory liquidation, or is it just creditors forcing the company into this process?
Well, a director, they could decide, if they were owed money, for example, by the company, they could decide to petition the court through a winding up petition to have a company put into compulsory liquidation. Now, as I say, the cost, there's no real difference in cost between the compulsory and voluntary liquidation, but the difference in the compulsory liquidation is dealt with through the official receiver, the government insolvency department, and most of the costs you're paying there are court fees and solicitor fees through the compulsory liquidation. So you're putting a lot of pressure on the official receiver's office, who struggle anyway to get all the work done they can get done on limited funding from within that. So they don't in reality want too many compulsory liquidations going through there, but I guess my biggest concern is that there are some unlicensed advisors who are selling a compulsory liquidation as the same as a voluntary liquidation, and that the differences are quite broad within that. But what they're doing really is charging you a fee for their time just to tell you that's the right thing to do, and really there's no service coming back from there. They're not licensed, they're not regulated, there is no comeback for you if that advice was not correct. So that worries me slightly. So I would always want to try and see advice through a licensed insolvency practitioner, so there is regulation, there is comeback, there is some sort of accountability for the advice that's been given.
Okay. How can FA Sims and Partners help company directors throughout a compulsory liquidation if it is handled by the official receiver? Okay,
so it's going to be quite a daunting situation there, because you won't have met whoever's looking after your case for you. So you won't have had a chance to have a conversation and understand if they're the sort of people you want to deal with as individuals within that. So you're going to be called into your local official receiver's office, and you'll be sat down in a meeting room and you'll be talked through what happens from that point forward. Now, it's interesting because different official receivers' offices run things slightly differently. So you might have quite an experienced person come and sit with you who knows the process and understands things and generally will be quite sympathetic to your situation. Likewise, you might have quite a young new come through who's trying to earn their stripes, and they can perhaps sometimes be over aggressive about trying to point the finger at you for why the company's ended up in insolvency. But the key thing is we can be on the other phone, we can give you guidance, try and help you understand the process and try and get you through the process as smoothly and painlessly as possible.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Richard. And if you would like further advice regarding a compulsory liquidation, then you can contact Richard Sims or one of the other licensed insolvency practitioners at FA Sims and Partners on the number below. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you, viewers.